When the President of the United States sits down in front of a camera to address the nation, the speech that gets read is not made up on the spot. If that were the case, we might end up listening to a random tangent, some outdated jokes that don't land, or a complicated and confusing explanation that leaves out some key facts. And when you're the president, that's a bad look, and can be dangerous. So yeah, these speeches are far from improvised. In fact, each speech the president gives has been painstakingly written by a speechwriter and developed and edited by a team of experts to resonate with the audience and reflect the personality and the political identity of that president. The people who work on these speeches have to have a strong understanding of how to communicate one-on-one with others and how to communicate effectively to the masses. That way, the president will reach, connect with, and even inspire action in each of the hundreds of millions of listeners. This is a very specific example, but it's a good illustration of how important mass communication is to the way the world as we know it functions. It is just as important to communicate effectively when we are managing someone or something's image in public relations, appealing to a wide range of customers in marketing, or sharing important information with the world as journalists. Hi, I'm Hank Green, and welcome to Fast Guides, a study hall series presented in partnership with Arizona State University and Crash Course. In this episode, we will be focusing on the ins and outs of a mass communication major. As mass communication majors, students study how information gets shared with large groups of people through channels like print, television, digital, or broadcast media, and how that information can be interpreted by the audience. Whether we like it or not, our perception of the world has been shaped by different media for our entire lives. We absorb information from the internet, the morning paper, the evening news, social media, and that information has a huge impact on the way we behave, the way we treat each other, and even the way different countries interact politically. So the people behind these messages that are being absorbed by large groups of people are weaving together more than just words. They're crafting stories that are often told with strategy and purpose. Every field has stories to tell and needs communication experts. As a mass communication major, you will learn how to create narratives to accomplish goals and send messages both ethically and effectively. That's a pretty big task, so maybe it's not surprising that the courses and topics you will study in a mass communication major touch on and interact with a myriad of different fields like journalism, public relations, advertising, corporate communication, media studies, and sometimes even film and TV. In fact, because it can be applied so broadly, the mass communication major can sometimes be smushed together with one of those fields. Like you might get a journalism and mass communication degree or a media studies and mass communications degree. Some schools will also allow you to major in mass communications, but specialize in one of those fields. As for the courses themselves, like most majors, you'll probably spend the first 2 years of your undergraduate program completing general education courses like your English, math, and foreign language requirements. Some programs might also include introductory level mass communication courses like an introductory writing course that will prepare you for the more specific higher level courses. From there, you'll take more advanced courses like mass media writing, publishing for mass audiences, media law and ethics, or mass communication theory and history. These courses will teach you tricks of the industry like fair and ethical journalism, writing impactful news scripts and press releases, and the theories and historical successes and failures behind the practices we use today. Like I said, many schools offer specializations, so you might be able to take narrower courses like sports and media, storytelling through digital editing, or advanced converged media writing. But regardless of what you take, the coursework throughout your studies will include a lot of writing and a good amount of public speaking, since you will be practicing your communication skills digitally and in person. Your courses will also rely on a lot of different types of communication, so students who love media are prime candidates for a degree in mass communication, since you will get to work with and study everything from TV, newspapers, and articles to speeches and even YouTube videos and TikToks. But you won't just be studying these types of media, you will also be creating them, so students who prefer to put their learning into practice also tend to do well in the mass communication major, as do students who love writing. writing. And they're not requirements, but public speaking skills and the ability to work with other people are also important in a mass communication major. And the field in general, really. In classes, it's not uncommon for you to work in groups to create materials that will be presented to the entire class. Mostly, mass communication majors are curious about the world and how we exchange information, and that might lead to other interests too. Like if you're interested in a minor or double major, you might consider a foreign language. As the world becomes increasingly globalized, many experts recommend learning another language in order to stand out, regardless of the field you're in. Or business is a useful topic to study because it teaches you about other exchanges and networks that tie the world together. You also might find that there's a fair amount of overlap between mass communication and business, like some topics and classes in marketing, public speaking, leadership, or sometimes intro communications classes. Or pairing mass communication with something like biology, chemistry, or computer science might be an asset to your future career. Many scientific fields are rapidly growing as technology improves, and we continue to make new groundbreaking discoveries that open doors to new information, which is why it is more important than ever that we have capable communications experts to share this information with the public. But while there are a lot of potential opportunities in a mass communication major, there are also some elements to be aware of. Some mass communications majors might not expect this, but some amount of public speaking is usually required. If this is something that you find challenging, but you still want to pursue the degree, maybe consider practicing public speaking more regularly by signing up for some extracurricular activities like a speech team, the performing arts, or mock trial. But if this isn't a challenge you feel you can overcome, you might consider a different communications degree, a writing degree, or focusing on one of the many fields that we mentioned that intersects with mass communications, topics like marketing or media studies. For those that stick with it, unlike some other fields where a master's degree is recommended, you can start your career in mass communication right after you graduate with your bachelor's degree. And there are a lot of different fields you can choose to go into, since the skills associated with the degree, like critical thinking, public speaking, and writing, are so valuable. So there's a lot of variety, and the lifestyle in the mass communication industry is not always your typical 9 to 5. You might find yourself working long hours and traveling around, but if you're truly passionate about the field, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Right out of college, you'll probably find yourself starting out in support roles like PR assistant, associate brand manager, editorial assistant, or communications specialist, depending on what your degree covered and what your interests are. But the mass communication degree is flexible, and there are lots of options. And talking about salaries can be hard because they can vary greatly depending on location, experience, and industry, but the average salary for a graduate with a bachelor's degree in mass communication is about $60,000 per year. Though most mass communication graduates start out making closer to $35,000 per year. But once you learn about the industry firsthand and gain some important skills, you will move into higher paying positions. Like you might be a journalist who makes on average about $49,000 per year and contributes to sharing important news to people around the world. Or you might be a publicist who makes on average about $51,000 per year and helps companies or people form relationships with the public. For example, you could do PR within the fields of TV and film, sports, politics, or any other thing that requires maintaining a public image. Or you can become a social media strategist who makes on average about $56,000 per year planning and implementing a social media strategy for their company. No matter what field you choose, the skills you learn along the way will be invaluable to any career. You'll obviously learn communication skills along with organizational, analytical, interpersonal, and research skills that will set you up for a great career regardless of which path you decide to go down. So this might not need to be said, but we live in a time of great social and political turmoil, and communication is as vital as ever in getting important and accurate information out to the masses. Knowing how to communicate effectively has certainly made a big difference in my career, and I bet it will be important in your career too, which is why a degree in mass communications can be so valuable. Whether it be shaping the messages our world leaders share, the advertisements that reach billions of people every day, or the news that we use to make decisions in our daily life, a degree in mass communication can set you up for success. Thanks for watching. If you want to investigate more degrees before you choose a major, like we all should, check out our other videos to look into more majors and find the one that's right for you. This series is part of the Study Hall program, a partnership between Arizona State University and Crash Course. If you liked this video or found it helpful, you can give it a like, and you can comment to let us know how you chose your degree, or how you are struggling to choose your degree, or what you wish you'd known before you started your degree.